Yay! Sure. Right. I get nervous all the time. Let's do this.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the For Her Empire podcast. I'm your host, Abby Mauchet. And in this podcast, we address the personal and business issues that female entrepreneurs face in their day-to-day lives. Today's guest is Vikki Yafe.
Yeah,
Today's guest is Vikki Yafe, who's going to talk to us about anxiety and procrastination and how our brains are programmed to be lazy. I just learned that right now. Hi, Vikki.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Nice to have you here. Okay, so before we start recording, we're talking about anxiety and procrastination and how you would wake up almost every day and you did not know it was panic attacks, and I did not know until you described it either. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So it was a few years ago and I was waking up every day like very alert and drenched in sweat and, short of breath and very, very hot, very warm. And it would like happen and then it would like calm down and then I would get on with my day, and it would happen every day. And then my partner, who's now my husband, would say to me like, I don't think it's normal, what's happening? And I was like, well, like it kind of is fine because later in the day everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what anxiety was, like as we mentioned in our chat before. To me, I'd like just read these like super extreme cases, so the fact that I was able to get up and get around and do my work like didn't tie into what I'd known about it. But a friend actually said to me, listen, it's panic attacks, it's anxiety. And so I started doing what everyone does that we know we shouldn't do, which is go to Dr. Google and look into like what is right. Like, what is anxiety? Like, okay, this is but what I got back, and we spoke about this, was a lot of like misinformation and confused information on anxiety is a feeling of worry and overwhelm. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, is it a feeling of feelings? How do I know when I'm worried or when I'm anxious? Not helpful. And the other statistic that I gave you, which was 1 in 5 American adults will suffer from an anxiety disorder. And I was like, it sounds like a trend, not a disorder. Let me look into why it would exist. So that was my story in terms of like how I started getting into it. A lot of misinformation and miseducation, then panic attacks, then Dr. Google, and then learning how to really manage it myself.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about how you manage it yourself and how you help others manage the anxiety and then the procrastination that comes from that anxiety.
Mm-hmm. So really, the first thing that I did was set about redefining it. So if that definition of a feeling of feelings wasn't working for me, like wasn't helping me at all, like what could help me? And once I got and this is also what I do with my clients, right? Get very specific on defining what actually anxiety is for you. If it's a feeling of worry or a feeling of unease, what does it literally feel like? Like, where in your body do you feel it? Do you feel it in your chest, in your stomach, in your head, down your arms? Like, actually exactly what's happening, because there's a very big difference going into a panic attack or anxiety, knowing I'm thinking I know exactly what's going to happen, and there is thinking, fuck, I don't know what's happening. So really, it's like go through the motion of understanding exactly what's happening is like really one of the most important places to start. And then, like I said, I went into understanding our evolution and biology and why it exists and how it served us throughout most of our history. And I like teach that in little bits on my podcast as well. But really, like, I think once we understand the science, but not like, we don't have to go too into it, but understanding basic science.
Yeah, thinking about like the biology of it, I'm like, okay, and to go to like a library and get a book about how my brain works and all the chemicals in there. Like, oh wow, that sounds like a lot.
Right. So even on my very first podcast episode, I think it's like 15 minutes, and I tell you everything you need to know in that 15 minutes. So like nothing more. It's like, I don't think it should be like something something we have to spend too long on. It's really quite basic and simple. It's just that we're never taught it.
Oh,
So I'll do that. I think we'll link up the podcast here anyway, so people can find it.
okay.
And then I mean, there's lots of different ways to manage it, but one of the important mistakes and errors that I see is we spend so long speaking about anxiety being something wrong with us and what it means about us, and we're broken and we need to be fixed. And anyone spending their life thinking, oh, like something's wrong, something's broken, something needs to be fixed, is probably going to create more anxiety. So we need to like
just
change that
never-ending
whole
loop.
story. Right, the never-ending loop. And then this is how it ties into procrastination, right? Because then we're focused on solving for anxiety and everything else goes on hold. So suddenly we're like meditating for 2 hours, or we're avoiding doing our work, or we're sweeping the floors, or anything to try and stop the anxiety, or even trying to do everything. If you ever try to do 20 things at once, or just like whatever I can, I need to stop the anxiety, and all those things. We're never going to get rid of anxiety 100%. So it's like draining all of our energy, not producing the outcome that we want, and then taking away from the things that we did want to get done, which for female entrepreneurs is probably quite a lot. You're probably busy enough for like trying to solve for anxiety.
Yeah. So like I know when you get anxious, what about the fear of failure and the fear that I would commit to all of this but it might not be successful? Is that part of anxiety or like a normal worry?
Well, like, exactly. How do we know? Someone has to decide. Like, I can't prescribe everyone. And I think, again, it comes down to, like, what are you feeling in your body? Even anxiety can sometimes be normal worry. That's literally the definition. I think, fear of failure is a massive thing, that our brains are wired, again, to go into the science. Our brains are wired to avoid failure because our brains have been around for millions of years, and even in their most recent forms for like 40,000 years. And so they've been around long before apartment buildings and food delivery and mobile phones, and they're wired to keep us alive in the wild. And that meant failure in the wild meant life or death, right? If you like failed to find shelter, if you failed to find food, if you failed, and picked the wrong cave and there was a predator in there that wanted to eat you, you would literally die. So our brain thinks failure.
This is so morbid. Yes. This is so morbid.
Right. But it's like, right, it's just how our brains are wired. That like, we want to keep you alive. Let's like avoid failure just in case a lion's going to come out and try and eat us. Like, let's just not do it. And we believe it, even though our modern day failures are not life-threatening. I had a client say to me, she had a lot of anxiety about public speaking, and she was doing an event. And I was like, let's say, like, what's the worst thing that happened? She's like, I forget everything. I'm like, okay, and then what happened? She's like, well, then I feel embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, and then what happened? And she's like, well, then I go back to my life. I'm like, right, you just need to, like, the worst thing that happens isn't the thing that you're fearing. The worst thing is the fear. Like, the fear of the worst thing, the anxiety, whatever it is. Like, we never go there. Our brain's just like, this is going to be terrible. And it's like, but why? What's going to be so terrible? Really?
Oh, I like that though. I like that. Then what happened? Like, what's the worst that would happen? Then after that, what happens? Because I would have been stuck I would be so embarrassed. I would have stuck there like, oh my God, I'll be so embarrassed. How would I show my face in public? It's going to go hide in there somewhere for a week and then come out later. But,
Right, but you would still come out. Even if you like hid for a week, you would still come out. And that's what our brain forgets. It's like, oh, I'll never be able to show my face again. And it's like, well, I'll probably will show my face at some point.
Yeah. But then people look at me in a weird way, and I'll be so uncomfortable with that then. Like, don't look at me.
Right, and maybe you will be for a few times, and then you'll get over it, because that's what we do. We get over it. But our brain, even can you see then? It's like our brains are so afraid of us feeling embarrassed that we like don't do things. But like, I think every person on this planet has a solution that they are uniquely like primed to create for a problem that maybe only they see. And when we give in to our primitive fears and our primitive anxiety and our fear of failure, we don't just take from ourselves, we take from the world. Like the world needs all of us to like step out of discomfort into potential failure and potential rejection and everything
Potential
that our
failure.
primitive brain wants us to avoid. Yeah.
What if I don't want to fail?
Right.
What if I don't want to
Well,
fail?
then yeah, you don't have to fail, but if you don't fail, I doubt you'll succeed. I can't think of a single person whose success has come like, oh, I just tried this thing one time and then I made it.
That would be so cool,
Like
though.
I've never heard that story.
That would be so cool, though.
It wouldn't. Do you want to know why? In fact, I do have one client, and her first business went quite well, and then she went to do her second one, and she realized she'd never learned any of the actual skills. She was just lucky, not lucky, but she said it wasn't that difficult. It was, you know, everything just happened quite quickly.
Like a series of circumstances just made things happen.
Right, and obviously, and she did very well. But actually, then she wanted to do her second business, and she had such imposter syndrome, and like she didn't know what to do because she kind of never really learned. Like failure is by definition getting smarter, because you thought something was going to work out and it didn't work out that way. We can either avoid it and hide away from it, or we can look at it and be like, what did I get wrong? Okay. How can I solve for this so it doesn't happen again? Like we actually want to fail because we want to get smarter and we want to get better. Our brain just thinks we're going to die.
I'm not sure I would say I want to fail, but yeah, I understand the lesson behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you like? How do I phrase this question? How can you be productive when you're anxious of that failure? Like, so now you want to do a business, or you want to do a particular task for the business. Of course, there's the fear that this might not work out the way you plan, that your business assumption is just like way off, or that you do it and then it's like nobody responds, nobody's interested. And so how do you push through that and actually do this despite all that pushback from your brain?
Well, I think part of it comes in what we've just spoken about, which is like being willing to learn and being in it for the long-term success of the business. For example, if someone's like, I'm going to, you know, do this Facebook Live and no one's going to watch, and then I'm going to quit. Well, then you're not really in it for the business. What if it takes 20 Facebook Lives before anyone notices, right? Like, are you willing to do it to get out there and do it? Like, it's kind of like change the way how you think about the failure. Be more committed to the long-term goal of the business and solving that problem than you are for your comfort in the present. And like a practical tool is one of the things I do with my clients is like micro task, because when we're feeling anxious, we're like starting and stopping a million different things, or we get confused and we don't know where to start. And really, like, so for example, with my podcast, I can micro task it, so it's not just like 2 hours in my calendar of like write, record, upload. It's like I literally break it down to like write the outline, record, upload, you know, make any edits, schedule it for release, write a paragraph about it. Oh, promoting it. One sec, this sound won't be as nice without this. You know, really breaking down into like 8-9 steps, and then what happens is you start succeeding and you feel like you are accomplishing things along the way, instead of it being like, oh, I have to do the 2 hours or sometimes 4 hours to complete a certain task, or sometimes weeks, right, to complete this big task. Break it down so that you are constantly achieving. And when you are constantly achieving, it's also a really nice opportunity to like give yourself micro rewards. So teach your brain to create pleasure from completing small things instead of just waiting for like, oh, I was doing this video series.
And that's worked for you, like breaking down like big tasks into like tiny mini steps. That has worked out for you and your clients?
Yeah, it's definitely worked out for me and my clients, and it gets them like moving forward, because sometimes our brain's like, I mean, I had one client tell me once it was 8:30 a.m. her time, and she was like, "I've already wasted today. Like I've already ruined the day." And our brain wants to do that. It wants to write the whole day off at 8:30 a.m. Versus like, okay, if you've written the day off, what are just like 3 things that you can do? Well, I could, do X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z. And then it's like we're just saving ourselves time, and we're producing a point where our brain's like, I don't want to do anything.
I can relate to that. Like on Sunday, I just make want to
Right.
like, yeah, let's make this a rest today. Let's go back to bed.
Right, but it's like you have to expect that your brain wants that, and you have to not stop listening to it. Be like, brain, we're going to get rest after we've achieved something. Because what we're doing then is we're rewarding procrastination, right? When we're like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to like not bother. I'm going to like grab some cookies. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to like play on my phone for a few hours. We're building a reward system that rewards the exact behavior we want to stop. Versus like, oh, if I want the reward of having a nap, I need to like get these 3 micro tasks done. If I want the reward of scrolling on my phone, I'm going to make sure I get this 1 micro task done first.
How do you stay consistent in that? Because I know I've tried the reward system. It's 2020, sometime in 2018, I wanted to write a book, and so I had taken a productivity class, which kind of just broken down what you just said about the reward system. Except I'm the one giving myself a reward that I could get at any time I want. So that did not quite work out. So I maintained that for I think a good 3 weeks or so. Then after that, I was like, I could get my phone whenever I wanted. Like, what's the point of all of this? So how do you like maintain that consistency? How do you not tell yourself that I could be on my phone whenever I want? I'm an adult, then it's like, how do you maintain this anyway?
So this is all about like this is more the mindset type of things that I do with my clients, where we coach them on like why they are picking up the phone, because it's not just that like the phone is fun. It's typically because of like a fear of failure or a fear of rejection, and where's that coming from? And can we like before we set the goal, we want to bring up all the obstacles to achieving that goal. We don't want to like go on our merry journey, like everything's going to be great. I've got this goal. It's going to be fun and easy. At the beginning, let's bring up all the things that your brain's going to tell you for why you shouldn't do it. So it's going to say, oh, let's just start tomorrow. Oh, like no one's going to care. No one's going to notice, like all of it. And really solve for them. So when you go into it, so when you go into it, there's no like surprise. You're like, oh, I knew my brain was going to say this. We need to like stop attaching ourselves to our brain and stop believing everything that it tells us. Like it's supposed to not want to do things. It's supposed to want to conserve energy. It's supposed to want to be lazy. It's supposed to want to avoid failure and avoid rejection. And if you are waiting to take action for all those things to fall into place, you will never take action. You have to be willing to start, stop, fail, learn. Start, stop, fail, learn. And at the same time, have like a consistent review process for like, why did I check my phone then? Because often we fail, like we check our phone when we said we wouldn't, and then we like shame ourselves away from learning from it. But like, oops, that happened. That's a bad thing. I'm just gonna like pretend it didn't happen. We have to do the opposite. We have to be like, why did that happen? Why did I let that happen?
Because I thought I would come back and do the rest later afterward. Like it's 24 hours in a day. I can just come and like the time I spend on my phone, I can make up for it later. That was the idea.
Right, but then why? But if you knew 100% that like there were 1,000 clients waiting for this piece of work, and it was going to be massively successful, and it was going to up-level your whole career and your whole business, do you think you would have been like, oh, I'll do it later?
No.
Wow. So the real reason isn't that you said you would do it later. That's a result of your brain thinking this isn't going to work.
Oh, this is an interesting way to look at it. Oh. Mind shift. That was fun. Okay, so like now, do you suggest that for every day you should have like a planner of sorts? Like you know how you have like this big task and like the mini task. Do you suggest that for every day you should have like a task I want to do today and like the mini tasks? Do you think that's something that you can do to avoid procrastination and sort of manage your anxiety?
Yeah, so I do that every Monday for the whole week. And what it's good for, it doesn't mean, just because you have the tasks doesn't mean you're going to do everything. I'm just going to be honest with everyone listening.
Yeah.
But what happens is you get very honest about what you are not doing. So it's like you'll notice that you're really good at doing 3 of the tasks, but then the same 4th one. For some people, it's like writing content. For some people, it's like sales calls. For some people, it's, planning out a big project, whatever it might be, for a specific client, whatever it might be. There's going to be gaps. There's going to be consistency in what you're avoiding, and we need to uncover what that is. So the reason to do it is not just because once you write it down, you're going to do it, but it's really like a diet. Like once you know the diet rules, once you start breaking them, you start to see the habits of like, oh, I eat late at night. Oh, I like really want to eat after I've like had an argument with someone. Like, whatever it might be, let's do the same for your scheduling and your task list of like, what are you avoiding? What are you procrastinating on? And why? And that's why you do the list. So it's like, okay, I can see that I keep procrastinating on this. Do I want to keep it or not? Because we don't have to do anything. And one of the big things that a lot of women and a lot of my clients will say is like, no, I'm going to keep it on the list. Like I have a rule that's like, if it's been on there for over a month and you've not done anything about it, it goes off the list. Like it's gone. Get it off the list. Get it off. Like stop thinking about things that you're not doing. And it's like, oh, but if I take it off the list, I won't do it later. I'm like, you will if you want to. You don't need it on the list to do it later.
Yeah.
If you really want, like someone was like, I want to like start running or whatever, I was like, you're not doing anything about it right now. So all you're doing is failing every week on this thing that you're not doing anything about. Like if you really want to run, no one's going to stop you in 3 months, in 6 months, in 6 years to be like, oh, now I'm going to start running.
Oh, okay. What tools or what app do you use for like managing these tasks? Any specific one you want to recommend?
I use Google Calendar. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
I have like I think 3 productivity apps on my phone right now.
Are you using them consistently? Because if not, delete them.
I had Asana, which I had assigned a closest friend of mine on as an accountability partner, except she's barely on Asana, so it's just there, but no one's looking at it. Then I have AnyDo, which I'm actually using, which is I'm just gonna show it to you. Let me see, AnyDo. There we go. I don't know if you can see it. I have just ticked off, okay, it's not very clear. Ouch, let me just unplug this. So it's not very clear. So I've just ticked off something right now. After we're done with this, I'm gonna tick off another one. Was to do one interview right now. Then I was supposed to make some social media posts. I've done the images, but I have to like actually have the copy so that I can just tick that off. Though I have lots of stuff on it, but I only ever get like 3 or 4 done in a day. Although there are always like 7 of them like waiting, but I only did like
so why don't you just do 3? Why don't you just decide to do 3 things a day and sit in the success of doing what you said you would do, instead of saying I'm going to do 10 things and then sitting in the failure of not doing 10 things? Right? It's like, what's going to feel better? And you're still going to get the same number of things done. And
I just like seeing everything at once. I like seeing everything I need to get done. It's like, okay, which do I want to do right now? Which do I think would take like the least amount of energy from me?
Right. And is that how you want to be making decisions? What's going to take the least amount of energy? Or do you want to make decisions of what's going to make this an amazing week? What's going to move my business forward? What's going to get me to where I want to get? Like, we don't want to make decisions from what's going to be the least amount of energy, because then we're going to like, I feel like running the hamster wheel of like, I'm doing things all the time, but my business isn't moving forward. Like, no, you should definitely at the start of your week think about like, what's going to move my business forward this week. I see a lot of people prioritize a lot of social posts and like image and surface level stuff over like creating revenue. I'm like, it's really nice that you've like got X amount of followers or X amount of engagement or really pretty pictures. But if you are not, like, my number one goal every week is to get a client every week. That's it. Like, it's like, how can you how can you grow your revenue? Because your business relies on revenue. Your business needs money to run. And that's going to help you reach more clients. There's no other way to do it. So it's really nice to have the perfect website and a really nice social media handle and really like a lot of people retweeting your tweets, but it's not going to help you stay in business. It's not going to make you money. And that money is going to help you help more people.
Yeah.
So like even for you, I would look at your tasks for the week and be like, of your list and be like, which of these are going to create revenue for my business?
Yeah. It's an interesting way to look at things. So instead of looking at it as what am I getting done this week, what task am I ticking off this week, it's what task is going to result in revenue for my business this week. Then I focus on that instead.
Right, definitely.
Okay. I just learned a lot right now. Okay, so
good.
So what's do you recommend that for like there's 7 days in the week, do you recommend you work each of the 7 days, or do you have to like give yourself a day off of sort?
Like I've done both, and I've also worked. It was actually when I was working for someone else, where I was working into the evenings and 7 days a week. And I think it depends on what you need to do. Some people come to me, they have a full-time job and they want to grow a side business. If you are in that place, then yeah, you're going to be working more. I still think it's amazing to take one full day off a week, but you know, like it's an unusual situation. I think there's no point arguing with what is. If you have a full-time job and you want to launch a side business, you are going to be working longer hours. Again, make sure a really nice, simple thing that I used to do was like Friday nights are fully off. So Friday come 5 o'clock. If you're working for someone else, like don't do any of your work that night. Really enjoy that night. And if you can, into Saturday morning as well. But for me now in my business, like there was a time when I was working still, I mean like 2 months ago, when I was still working 6 days a week to manage all the things that were coming up and all the opportunities, because you know sales was growing, and then I made an active choice of like, no, this isn't the lifestyle that I want to build. So now I'm learning to do 5 days, and in the future it will be 4 days, because I don't think hours equals revenue. I think hours, like what we've just spoken about, we can spend a lot of hours doing things that aren't making us any revenue. So if you are working full time, you are going to be working longer days. If not, stick to a 5 day a week. Like, you know, 6 day, like do what you want. But I will say a lot of the time when we give ourselves so much time to complete things, we take so much time to complete things. If you only had 5 days and you had to start saying no to things that weren't a priority, that might be better for your business, because you are your business. If you are not rested, your business is tired. You are not making empowered decisions. You are not going to, like I said, really. And it's the same thing for that person that's like got a full-time job and just got 2 days. Like, how can you build revenue quickly as possible so you can leave the job?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah. What's your work week? What does your work week look like? Are you 5 days, 6 days, 7
6 days? Then Sunday I just tend to rest. Because I just like the idea of like taking an off day for myself. So that means no emails, no social media. If you send me an email on Saturday, I'll respond to it. But on Sundays, every email waits till the next day, which is Monday.
Right.
And then I probably just spend Sundays like in very casual clothes, just like lunching up and down and just relaxing and just playing music and just dancing for no reason. So Sunday is just let it all go. Then Monday to get serious and like, okay, all this stuff I should have paid attention to on Sunday. Let's start now.
Right. It's such an interesting thing as well, because now we do live in a culture of like a lot of people are working on Saturdays and Sundays. So I also almost think like, you know, if I think about my future schedule, is it taking Saturday and Sunday off, or is it taking like a Wednesday and weekend day off? You know, because otherwise you can end up finishing work on Friday and then have like 2 whole days of work to catch up on a Monday morning. I don't know. Interesting to think about.
Yeah, but I think when it's made it very clear that Sunday nothing gets done, then most people stop calling you on Sundays. Like on Sundays, my phone is practically dead. Like, because you would call
Right,
or you would text, and you can see I've seen it, but there'll be no response. 'Cause I feel like the second I respond, you respond again. Then next thing I know, I've been tricked
right.
into working. Like, no.
I think that's such an important point, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, we teach people how to treat us, and so often we aren't doing our big projects because we're responding to people's emails. And like, when we start a relationship by responding really quickly to people, and later on, as we get busier and we're not as available, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
When really, like, there's busy work and there's like productive work, right? And the busy work is responding to all the emails.
Yeah.
So like, have set time to respond to your emails on a daily basis, so people understand, like, oh, she responds to emails at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's my, like, if I want to get hold of her, I need to grab her in that time.
I
And to get
think I
busy.
should try having like set times for responding to emails. Although for some reason my phone has started delaying emails to me, so I have to like log into Gmail to see it. But typically, when you send me an email, I'll probably see it in like 20 minutes afterwards. Then I'll be like, if you waited 20 minutes, you could wait a while longer.
Right. And I actually think it's great to, like I say, we live in a world where like text, phone calls, WhatsApps, emails, Instagram messages, Facebook messages, like, if you want to, you can spend all day online having like
Yeah.
chats with people. Again, like, where are you moving the business forward?
Mm-mm.
How is that moving the business forward?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's great that, I mean, I have the app on my phone, and sometimes I'm like, oh, just a quick one, I'll just check it.
Uh,
But I think we don't need email. I mean, nothing's that important. Very few things where you need
yeah.
to respond immediately.
This email is not exactly the most like swift something. Like if you're gonna type something on email, it's probably not even urgent in the first place. If it was, you'd have found a different way to reach me. Yeah, like you'd have called
Right,
instead. That's more urgent. An
right,
email is like it's important but not urgent.
right,
Yeah.
right. Actually, as we're having this conversation, I'm like, should I delete the Gmail app from my phone? Like, should I do that? I feel like I could. I would love to do that, because I have, like, my personal account, my work account, my husband's account. I have like, and then like an email that I have for all spam. I'm like,
Yeah,
4 emails
yeah. I have a
on
spam
one
email for that
phone.
as well.
Yeah,
Like you just
but
open
it's
it
like
like
4 emails on one.
5,000 red email. I'm like, thank you. Close it back.
Right,
Oh my god.
right. I'm just
Yeah.
like, do I want that app? Do I want that app? It's an
Yeah.
interesting thing, because it does, like, that's how email work filters into my time off, because of the app on my phone.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to think about that.
Well, at least I've made you learn something. Yay! An achievement.
Definitely, a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, okay, so you said we have a task, break it down to many tasks so that you're not looking at this whole lump that I have to get this done, but you're like the small stuff that you can easily celebrate. And then your task should be, for if it's a business, you should be focused on what's gonna bring me revenue. That's like the priority, and then everything else can follow underneath that. So any more tips you can give us?
Um, yeah, so, and also, we said, like, decide on a Monday what you are going to get achieved that week as like your number one priority. Make sure that gets done. We also said cut down the to-do list every day, so you only have like 3 tasks a day.
Yeah, to me. I shall do that.
Yeah. Because then what you want to do is you want to be living in a constant state of achievement, not a constant state of failure. And when you like say, I'm going to do all these things, and then you're not doing them, you're constantly failing. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, waiting for that to do. I had one client, she was like, I just need my to-do list to go down to 0, and then I'll feel really good. And I was like, do you think it's possible that your to-do list could go down to 0? She's like, yeah, definitely. But it's not possible, because every time you do something, it creates more things. I wrote the content, I found the photos, and I need to upload them and post them,
Yeah.
and I need to create the hashtags, then
Yeah, it
I need
just
to
leads
write
to
more
something
content.
else and something else and something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, always. So we're never going to get everything done. So we have to decide to set boundaries so that we can feel accomplished and
Okay.
successful, and
Oh,
like
I
we can
almost
take
forgot to. I
time.
almost forgot to ask. Thank you. I just remembered now. So, before we start recording, you said when you realized you had a panic attacks and then later anxiety. You had defined what anxiety really meant for you. You said you'd found someone that you could talk to and offload all of this on, and that's helped. And you do that for yourself as well as for your clients. So you recommend that if someone is dealing with anxiety, that they talk to someone about it, like a therapist or just a friend or something.
So I would say, in my experience, it was a coach, right?
Okay.
That's like what helped me. I think people can have a therapist. I would say talking to a friend is okay, but it's not. It's like it's not. It's not a professional, right?
Yeah.
So like you can talk. I think it's great for us all to talk about our emotions, but if you want actionable steps on how to feel better, talking to a friend, that your friend comes to you with the same fear of failure and even more
Oh
heightened
God.
because they care about you and they don't want you to fail. So they don't want you to try. So you're like, should I apply for this job or not? I might fail. And they're like, I don't know, right? They're not going to give you that objective, like review your
Yeah.
brain. For
Oh.
me, coaching was what helped me. And I think a lot of people come to me for coaching. They're like, oh, I'm looking for an accountability partner. But coaching isn't just an accountability partner because you don't need me. You need to learn to become self-accountable. That's the
Okay.
skill. That's the tool of like understanding your brain,
Yeah.
understanding your anxieties, understanding your fears, understanding your tendency to procrastinate and why, and you being the one empowered to overcome it. Because when you're feeling like, oh, I'm on top of my stuff, then you are going to show up in the world as a completely different version of yourself, and you're going to achieve more.
Oh. This has been like very inspiring and like it's an actual masterclass right now.
Amazing. Good.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to start wrapping up. Anything else you want to add about your podcast as well?
All right, yeah. So anyone listening, I have a podcast with like 10-minute episodes every week, teaching you like a simple, actionable step on how to manage perfectionism and people pleasing and indecision and worry and all of these good things. And it's called Fuck Anxiety and Get Shit Done, but it's spelled the polite way, so it's F***CK.
The censored version.
Yeah, the censored version. Only when you type it, I can never say it a censored way. So I could say F. Anyway,
Like F
there or you can go.
anxiety and get S done.
Right, exactly. Or you can go to my Instagram where I post short stories as well every
What's
day,
your
little
Instagram?
videos.
Let's check it out right now.
It's at Vikki Vikki Louise
Louise, Vikki Louise.
UIS. Yeah, ____. So with the 3 underscores. Because I guess there was already a Vikki Louise.
Oh, found it. I thought it was like a straight line.
Amazing.
Not just 3 underscores.
Perfect.
Yeah, found it. Following you.
Perfect. Amazing.
Even the
Amazing.
bio
And
is
then yeah,
like
also I have a
F
free.
anxiety with hysterics. Yeah. Ooh,
Right, exactly.
50,000 downloads.
All polite.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. It's nice to talk about anxiety and procrastination. Especially, it's even better because it's something that I've learned quite also for myself. My to-do lists. So gonna try to like cut things down and just give myself 3 stuff a day. And if I do that and I still have time, I can just move the next one up and see if I can get that done as well. Yeah, I think that's been like one of my key takeaways right now. Like you can't do it all. Just be honest with yourself.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
thanks. Yeah, so being honest with yourself is
I said thanks so much for having me.
oh, nice to have you also. I mean, I'm an expert in procrastinating. I'm quite good at it. Yeah, and I've just sort of managing it, if that's the word to use. Just thought like connect everything. Turns out my phone gives me the option that if I've spent like now I've taken off Facebook notifications completely off, so I never see that on my phone. And at this point, I'm wondering what the app is for because I never actually see it until I log into my desktop So there's no point for the app anymore. I have this well-being thing where at 10 p.m. it mutes everything, goes on do not disturb, the color brightness goes out, everything just becomes black and white and so boring to look at. So you just drop your phone and go to bed. Yeah, so I'm slowly trying to cut things out and manage myself a lot better. And so this has been helpful.
Amazing. Good. And just so you know, episodes 3, 4, and 5 of my podcast are all like everything you need to stop procrastinating.
4 and 5.
So like 3, 4, and 5. Yeah.
Okay. So fuck anxiety and get shit done.
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5. All right. It's nice having you.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.